These card readings are for your entertainment and are laced with my personal opinions and perspectives. I'm not qualified to offer medical or legal advice. Seek professionals for legal, mental, or physical health needs, and know that while cards can give you major insights, ultimately, your moves are yours to make. Hello, and welcome to the Get Read podcast, the show where you ask a question of the cards and you get read. I'm Andy, I'm your reader, and we are here at the Cancer full moon. This is the first major lunation of 2023. Welcome to the new year. Today we are joined by the Next World Tarot by Cristy. I can't think of a more Cancerian deck. Frankly, this deck screams Cancer energy to me, so it's the obvious choice to answer our questions that we have today. Before we do, a little astrological context for this moon. We just had a Venus-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. Right after this Cancer full moon, we will have the Sun conjuncting Mercury retrograde, also in Capricorn. So the Capricorn-Cancer opposition, that axis, is super important during this time here in Capricorn season. I want to show you this too. For those of you watching the video cast, in the Next World Tarot, we have the Cancer moon card as the Four of Cups, and it says reevaluate. And we see a person naked with just a robe on, and they look to be sitting on like a boardwalk or a deck, a dock maybe, out by the ocean. There's a bunch of bottles, messages maybe, enclosed in bottles, all floating in the ocean behind this person, and they're just sitting here doing their nails and not necessarily actively reading in any of the messages, but just considering and thinking about it. It gives me a picture of ease, like finding a sense of ease as you are reevaluating, which is a great Mercury retrograde word, the time that we are in right now. Rather than being tempted to like pull everything apart and obsess until you find an answer, there's a sense of just trust and detachment in this card. Like, okay, if I just sit here and maybe do something else, do an activity with my hands that's pretty mindless, like do my nails, it focuses my mind, but it's not too heavily like intellectual or obsessive. I'm just going to sit here and do my nails, trusting that the reevaluation I'm doing is happening in the background. So maybe this is a little bit of a collective message for us all here at the Cancer full moon time, to just let it ruminate, because with the Sun meeting up with Mercury retrograde shortly after this lunation, the illumination is sure to come. There is very likely to be something pinging in your brain in the next few days that just might be a revelation or an aha moment. Now, Mercury is retrograde, so even though it's meeting up with the Sun and it's getting this burst of illumination, maybe even like a burst of clarity in the midst of a typical Mercury retrograde time, which would be maybe a little murky or confusing, I would hold this whatever revelations that come to you around the Cancer full moon, just like put a pin in them. You know, they really, truly may be the thing. They may be a very important piece of the puzzle. Put a pin in it. Let's wait for Mercury to go direct, I think January 18th. Wait for Mars to go direct, January 12th. So as we crest over mid-January, things are going to start to hopefully be moving forward in terms of clarity, direction, and the things that you're thinking about right now at this time. So with that context for our Cancer full moon, let's hear our first question.
Hello, I have a question for Unseen Hands. Love you, Andy. So my question is, for my upcoming artistic endeavors, the ones that are set in stone, but also the ones that are up in my head, I'm trying to put together, conceptualize. How do I have to be successful in these projects that I care a lot about? And how do I navigate the people in the spaces that these said artistic projects will be held in, facilitated around, basically just in the environment of? How do I navigate those, complex interpersonal business-woman relationships? Love you.
Okay. I like this question. So you're having, so you've got some artistic endeavors on the table, it looks like, and you've also got some that are still gestating in your mind. And you're wondering about, like, when you're taking these into the real world, how do you handle the collaborative, maybe I'm hearing, like collaborative dynamics that it takes to pull these things off? It's like once you take them, the creation in your head is one thing. When you take it out into the world and it starts interacting with other people or places or like locations, environments, technologies or whatever it is, it's in even an audience, it becomes something else. And so how do you navigate that is what I'm hearing. Let's find out. Let's see what the cards have to say. Okay. Ace of Cups. It says the roots of water, and water is an incredibly creative energy. It is this like intuitive, heart-led space. Cancer is a water sign. We're at a Cancer full moon. Absolutely, water energy is an answer right now. We're seeing a lotus pod just beginning to pop up out of the water, and this pod is filled with seeds. So it tells me that there's this like just the very beginning of a ton of ideas that are that you care about, that you have feelings towards and feel strongly about, and they're not yet bloomed. So that all of that potential is packed into this seed pod, and it's all right here above the surface. So it's very much conscious for you. It's no longer gestating in the mud beneath the surface of the water. It has revealed itself as this potential thing that is about to bloom. It's not yet fully come to fruition, but here it is about to pop. So, okay, the creativity is here, the heart first mentality and focus, like leading with the heart, leading with your feelings and your gut and your intuition. It's all here ready to pop. And now what? Oh my gosh, interesting. Revolution. This is a traditional tower card in the traditional tarot, but in this deck it's called Revolution, and we're seeing so much happening. We're seeing like absolute chaos, even like destructive global things that are happening. Like we've got these, for those of you not watching the video, on this card we've got big oil drills drilling deep into oil wells that are, the refinery is completely on fire. It looks like everything is burning. It says no blood for oil, defend the sacred. And then we've got this what looks to be like a older maternal figure and a young child in the foreground here, defending what they believe to be sacred. So it's telling me, for your specific question, that taking your creative ideas and your creations from this place of like just popping them out into the world, maybe like sharing your ideas with other people, between this stage and fully realizing them, there's a lot of change and maybe even like chaos and like stripping apart and rebuilding that happens in that process. And it can be a lot. It can be a lot to navigate all of that, which is probably why you're asking this question. I also do want to mention that, like, revolution, this is a major arcana card, and that sort of tells me that this energy could be bigger than just you or even just your situation. Like, we might be tapping in to the larger collective chaos that affects all of us here. But I think what's really important here is defend the sacred. That older maternal figure, so Cancer, you know, like that loving, protective force is here in the foreground with all of the beautiful flowers, the blooms, you know, protecting your babies. It's like your creations are your babies. Any artist knows what I mean when I say that. And in the process of realizing those creations and bringing them out into the world, they are facing a lot of change. You know, it's like your art is meeting the world in a moment of collective chaos and structures crumbling. And so maybe there's just something to like take this revolution card as a reminder of what world you are creating your art within on a smaller scale, but also in the global sense. Just keeping that dual awareness of like, okay, not only is the artistic process of bringing this into an actual place and space and environment pretty confusing and have the potential for it to like really heavily affect my work and change it altogether, or maybe even like completely strip it down to basics in a way that I didn't really want or expect. But my art in this like small community context is meeting an audience who is being affected by this larger global chaos and destruction and stripping away of structure. Okay, another card. Where is this going? So like, how do you handle it, you know? Okay, wow. The Knight of Wands, fire starter. And we see a person beautifully holding a paintbrush. I love that for this question. Standing super strong, holding that paintbrush as if they are claiming space. There's confidence here. There is a sense of authority here. And there are birds in the background, and I can't tell if they're like hawks or vultures, but it looks like stormy skies in the background, which would continue this story of revolution. So here's what we've got from the cards for this question for you. We've got your babies, your artistic, creative creations coming into consciousness and meeting the world for the first time from a very soft, sensitive space within you. You know, like maybe this is talking to us about your feelings, about your art, and like saying that like you really, really care about this. This is so close to your heart. It's really, really sensitive. So there's that. And then it's meeting the world or its immediate environment, which is chaotic. It's really intense. There's so much changing in that environment and in that global context that it's really intense to bring a sweet like child that you are caring for and nurturing into a space like that. There is a need to sort of defend what you hold most sacred about your creations and about your pieces when they are meeting this chaos. And then the Knight of Wands is showing how you can embody that energy, like coming into this very chaotic space. You know, like I'm seeing images of like coming into a space. There's a lot of artists. They're all like doing their own thing and like putting up their pieces and getting everything ready. There's a lot happening, and while you are Ace of Cups over here on some level, feeling very precious and sensitive about your pieces, you're going to show up as this, like, you know, keep that sacred sensitivity right at your heart and defend it by showing up with like this very confident, creative, can-do attitude. You know, it's like, it's almost like with the Knight of Wands, the fire starter. If you meet fire with fire, and by that I mean meet fire with creative fire, not destructive fire. So if you were to come into this like really intense, chaotic revolution type space and be defensive and be channeling your fire energy in a way that is combative or defensive or like aggressive in any way, it is probably going to make the flames and inflame everything and make it much more intense. Whereas if you can channel all of that fire energy into showing up with this, like, I'm getting the difference between like a dumpster fire and the fires of an illuminated sun. You know, like show up into the space with this like freaking flair. Like, I am an absolute artist. I am here to help the process, right? Like, I'm not coming in as a diva because I'm coming in with my paintbrush in hand. I'm ready to work. Don't get me wrong. But I am here like very confident in what my creation is here to do, and I am going to defend the most core sacred elements of my piece while also being super flexible and recognizing I'm in a room with a lot of other things going on, and I'm willing to make changes that don't strip my piece of its core sacredness. So it's can do, it's super flexible, it's incredibly creative. And I think that's where like the flexibility comes in, is being willing to come in and make changes on the fly, be very adaptable while keeping the core of your pieces strong and sincere to your original intent. That makes for this really strong, confident, artistic attitude. And I get this vibe of like people taking you seriously when you show up like that and realizing that you are such a crucial part of the art coming into full fruition. You know, I'm here to roll up my sleeves. I'm here with full confidence and radiating creativity, light, warmth, friendliness, flexibility. Because that's how we make magic happen in the midst of these kinds of chaos, constantly changing circumstances. And that kind of person is so inspiring in the midst of a revolution. It's the kind of artist leaders that we need. And it looks like you are that. Okay. There's a friendliness here that like absolutely no one can touch. Indestructible, untouchable. Like, even if you're surrounded by vultures who are coming in with this like attitude, like waiting for something to pick apart, they can't even do it because you're so radiant. You know, because you are so genuinely that girl. That's what it feels like to me. Okay. Whew, I hope that was helpful.
Hello. I have a question for Unseen Hands.
Next.
Hey, Andy. Gemini Sun, Virgo Moon, Leo Rising here, and this full moon, I am wondering, I am at a bit of a crossroads in my current day job, and I am heavily weighing whether I should kind of start to look for something else and maybe jump ship, or if I should kind of continue to dig into where I'm at and sort of just make things work in my favor, hopefully. But yeah, this is like pretty heavy issue for me right now, and I was just wondering if there's anything the cards have to say about it. Thank you. Bye.
Great question. Okay, so let's get into some astrology for a second for you. You said you're a Leo rising. So that means that I'm, and you're asking about your job, and I'm thinking about your second house, Virgo. You have a Virgo moon there. And I'm thinking about your sixth house, which is Capricorn. And then your 10th house, that would make your 10th house Taurus. So you've got this, in terms of your job, career, how you make money, you've got this earth energy going on. And I'm thinking about a couple of things here. Pluto being in Capricorn since 2008. And it is preparing this year to leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius. So it's going to move out of your sixth house. And I'm just wondering, like, what has Pluto been doing to your relationship with jobs, labor, working, effort since 2008? And like what, maybe as Pluto leaves that part of your chart, what is it taking with it? What is ending? What is culminating? Maybe that's why you're asking this question, because you do sort of feel like something is culminating here. Okay. Apparently that's all I'm going to say about that. No, I'm going to talk about Uranus being in Taurus also, because that's your 10th house. So Uranus being in Taurus for the last couple of years maybe has been trying to, or has been just like tapping a wire almost for you of like loosening some connections and bringing a little more electricity into the ways that you're thinking, a little bit of innovation or ingenuity or surprises almost. It really could be bringing some like, I want new career energy. All right. All that's just some like possible astrological justification for how you're feeling. Let's get into some cards. Well, we have the Strength card right off the bat, which there's your Leo rising right there. Strength. And we see someone tending to plants. It feels so sixth house to me in this way of like, all right, this is what I do. The efforts that I put in to serve the things around me that I want to keep alive. Like I've got to come in here and water these plants every day if I want them to live. And so I'm just wondering, I'm wondering about the relationship you have between the things you do in service to others or to the things around you in your daily routines. That includes your job or labor. Like every single day, these little tasks that you do that keep you anchored, because this is a strength card, keep you anchored. They give strength to the things around them and also sort of reinforce your own capabilities, strengths, the strengths that you naturally have out in the world, Leo rising, like the things that people see in you and say, oh yeah, you have all of these strengths and assets and just natural abilities. How is your sixth house reinforcing your first house, your Leo first house. What's that relationship? And I know this caller, and I know that you can take that astrological prompt and perhaps run with it. Okay, interesting. Like, in what way are the routines and tasks and efforts that you have to put in every single day reinforcing and strengthening your identity out in the world? And in what ways are they sort of creating some friction, maybe? Okay, another card. Oh, the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune. So you have all majors here. That's interesting. 6 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Look at your spread here. Okay, so for those of you not watching the video cast, we've got Strength, Empress, Wheel of Fortune. Empress is in the center here. We see a really strong person, just like not even needing to wear any clothes, like just perfectly strong in their most bare essence, natural self. They're holding a torch, looking off into the distance with what looks to me like the moon behind them. Strong, ready for whatever is next, incredibly capable. That perfect mix of softness and strength showing up in the Empress. And then we have Wheel of Fortune. The Empress is also making me wonder where your Venus is, since we are totally up your astro right now. Because, you know, in a question about money and career and passion, Venus is a really strong player here. And then we have Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter, coming in and potentially bringing change, expansion, a change in direction, a turning of the wheel. I mean, Jupiter's going to enter your 10th house pretty soon in the year. It's going to enter Taurus, and then we've got this like Jupiter-Uranus interaction, which brings like a whole new wave of something, you know, a whole new wave of something new, creative innovations, just like fast, rapid advancement. So I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is not going to come immediately for this for you, but I bet it would come pretty soon, again, with that Jupiter ingress into your 10th house. Also later this year, Venus is going to go retrograde in your first house, which would indicate that this is an opportunity to kind of reevaluate yourself and reevaluate even like who you are out in the world and how that reinforces what you value and how you are valued in return, which would all have to do with career potentially. Let's put it like this. With the Wheel of Fortune, we see this person sitting cross-legged in the center holding a bag, and everything, all of these wheels and other detritus is like spinning around them. I think you hold whatever this potential expansion or change is that's coming through as Jupiter, coming through as the Wheel of Fortune. You are so capable to make that change or to roll with that directional shift should you want to make it. You know, it's like if you want to change jobs, if you want to go in a different direction, I think all the cards are saying is the potential for that is really strong astrologically, and you possess the strength to do it. The talent, the capacity, the skill set, you know, it's like, everything just feels really ripe. in these cards, like on the verge, and just, I don't know, just so strong. So I would say, you know, the cards aren't naturally, they're not really telling you one way or the other, but they are mentioning the potential. They are mentioning the potential for change, for a shift in focus or direction, for some sort of expansion, whether that's within your current job or in a completely new direction. There is something that Jupiter is going to want to innovate as it gets closer and closer and closer to Uranus. So there's a question here about how can you innovate? How can you rise to that energy of Jupiter meeting Uranus? Which, you know, again, that's not an immediate upcoming aspect, but it's something that will happen this year. Yeah, and I'm thinking about this card, Wheel of Fortune, is associated with Sagittarius in this deck. Because it says down here Jupiter and it says Sagittarius, which is just like, I think a nod to that would be your 5th house, right? The house of your creativity and pleasure. You know, like what brings you joy and fortune, the house of good fortune, which is, of course, what Jupiter wants to bring you so badly. And looks like it's just really ready to do that because it's reinforced here by the Empress, by that Venusian energy. I mean, it literally says Taurus down here on this card and Venus. So, like, yeah, just wait till Jupiter gets in Taurus. It's definitely got some fortune and magic for you there. And then, you know, Venus retrograding in Leo, it's all here to help you prep and change and make the changes that you need to make, whether that's within your current job or changing jobs altogether. And the cards are, again, they're just reinforcing that you are so capable. So how can you rise to meet the challenges that come with innovation? What does innovation even mean to you right now? Like, what would innovation, change, and expansion look like when you think about your career? And what like natural strengths do you already possess to help you rise to that occasion? Like, journal those questions and see what comes out. And again, realize that this is something that's playing out over the course of this year. You know, like Venus's retrograde doesn't happen till the summer, like July, August, September timeframe, which really would be a time of reevaluating all of this for you. Reevaluating, like, who am I even? You know, who am I out in the world? What is my purpose? What do I want to do? How do I want to be engaging? Okay, exciting spread. Thank you for asking this question. You know, keep us posted if you want to as it unfolds. Yeah, it just feels like Jupiter's got plans for you and it's really fun, really exciting. And you're totally capable and ready for whatever that is. Cool. Okay. Last question.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for doing this podcast. It's always nice to hear
You're welcome.
the card support for people's questions. I'll get to mine. Cancer Sun in Rising with a Pisces Moon. I am wondering about the energy around my finances. A few years ago, I had an astrologer like quickly look at my chart about like where the money comes from, and they had said money just comes in and out for you, but it is connected to your partnerships. So it's been about 5 years since I've been able to support my family monetarily, and it's this heavy thing that I carry around, and I'm wondering, where shall I put my energy? I'm a mom of 4. I am an artist and a poet recovering from burnout and a traumatic brain injury. And I don't have the monetary support that I would like in my life. So if the cards have anything to say, I would love to hear it. So thank you.
Oof. Okay. Hello, Cancer placements here at the Cancer full moon. Dang. Welcome to the party. So already we're getting Saturn here for you, and it says it's the World card, and down here it says Saturn and Capricorn. So again, I'm gonna ask you about Pluto. Preparing to leave Capricorn here and enter Aquarius. What you said that you haven't felt able to support your family for the last 5 years. Clearly you've been dealing with so much. And I'm thinking about, this is making me think about the Venus cycle and how, am I thinking about the Venus cycle? Why did I say that? Well, I guess because Venus just met Pluto in Capricorn. Oh, because we're probably going to talk about the Venus retrograde. Sorry, my things are pinging in my brain and I'm trying to put it in a logical sequence. Okay. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. How has this been a story that's been playing out for you since then? And I would also say it has the potential to change. That story has the potential to change when Pluto leaves Capricorn. We also have Saturn present here. Saturn is also shifting signs. From this, like, it's been moving through Pluto, through Aquarius for the last few years. Saturn's been in its own signs. And it's going to move into Pisces. You said you have a Pisces moon. So I'm sure that will be a felt shift for you. You know, this figure in the World card, this Saturnian figure, which is usually a figure of like, you got to do what you got to do. And sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. And that's hard. And that's Saturn. Saturn brings some of those hard lessons, and this particular Saturn figure has a lot of compassion for that. We see someone kneeling down with their hand on their heart. Their head is sort of cocked over to the side. They're looking at you with compassion, and that's really strong. That sense of compassion, that sense of, I feel you. I know how hard it has been. So let's hold that and just see what other cards want to come out here. Wow. Okay, this is pretty exciting. Yeah. Okay, we have the Knight of Swords, and it says the escape plan. We see someone sitting cross-legged on top of a car, holding a knife, a blade up in the air. It's the heat of the day, and the license plate says Revolution Now. The escape plan. Knights for me are about motion, movement, and the Knight of Swords would be an idea that comes in quickly, perhaps, or like some sort of mental shift, and it might be pretty quick. And since it says the escape plan, I imagine that there is a need at this time to make a plan to escape the current sensations you've been and situations you've been in, which is like not being able to support your family. And then we got the Fool card, card 0, Aquarius, and it says Saturn again. So clearly Saturn is here being like, okay, Saturn has been moving through through Capricorn and Aquarius. And we've got a Capricorn card and the Aquarius card here. We've got the World, which is the final card in the major arcana, the ending. And then we've got card 0, the do-over, the start over. This is indicating that you have been through a very, very, very long cycle and you are making your way to the end of it. I think that's why I'm prompted to talk about all of these planetary like ingresses, because these major planets are at the end of this, there's the signs that they have been in, and they're about to totally shift gears into a new cycle or into something new. So with that, I think comes a new plan, comes a new mindset, some sort of like surge that shifts your brain space into more of motion, into forward momentum to make a plan to get the hell out of Dodge. And that being like to get out of whatever energy you have been in or circumstances. It looks so positive to me, and it looks like it sends you on a journey somewhere else. You know, this person in the Fool card is sitting at a bus station, bags packed, ready to go off into something new. They don't look super thrilled about it. I gotta say, they look tired. They look tired, but there's money floating everywhere around them in this card. The winds of change are blowing all this money around. And they look tired, but there is something very like specific that they have their eye on. Can you see that? Those of you watching the video cast, it's like their eyes are really tired. They clearly have bags underneath of them, but they're looking off in the future and like almost squinting at something specific. It's like, okay, I don't exactly know how this journey is gonna go, but I know that I need to do something totally new, totally different. It's almost like I need to start over, or I get to start over. And this is the escape plan in action. And it may require like going somewhere else. Sure, that could be physical, but it feels to me like also it's really felt in the mental space. Because here on the bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is here to protect hearth and home, to nurture, to care for the people around them and most importantly themselves, also in conjunction with that. So I think part of these, it says the throne of sanctuary, which tells me that like part of the lessons maybe that you've been experiencing have been around the caring for your own needs. How can you support your family, as you've been saying, while also keeping your sense of sanctuary? I actually keep your throne of sanctuary as the leader of the household, as the mother. It's like, this is my sanctuary. I sit on this throne of care and nurturing, which means I care and nurture for myself as well as all of you. So while you may be starting a new cycle in terms of like financial support and how you support your household financially, and that may require like a big mindset shift or like some sort of action taken on your part, we're in the year of the Chariot. If the action, the opportunities and the motivation to shift that directional focus and to move into a new space is here. It's like you have the escape plan, the Chariot, the car has arrived, the vehicle has arrived. Make sure the choices that you make keep you safe. I think, like, okay, maybe you shift jobs or you shift some sort of career into where you're able to make a little bit more money and feel like you can support, but also you have needs, really strong and specific needs. You mentioned traumatic brain injury. You mentioned all of these things that you carry with you and that are part of your experience and need sanctuary. They need care. They need safety. And so whatever this is that is your escape plan is not in does not negate all of those circumstances and needs that you carry with you. That escape plan needs to support, uphold your throne of sanctuary, care, nurturance, and safety. Which is difficult to find in a capitalist society for sure, but not impossible. So back to Venus, because I was thinking something unconsciously was stirring about the Venus cycle, which is talking to me just like the last caller. Let's bring up the Venus retrograde, because if you're a Cancer rising, in terms of whole sign houses, that Venus retrograde this coming July through September is happening in your second house of finances, valuables, material wealth, and material experience. So I have a feeling, and then Mars later this spring will move into Cancer, into your first house. So there's a potential like reevaluation. That Venus retrograde is probably going to help you reevaluate how you bring in money and how that can support the needs and the nurturance that you need. And then that Mars ingress into Cancer is perhaps the chariot, the vehicle, the plan, the action plan, and like the ticket to ride, the action plan and the motivation to do it. So similar to the last caller, now is not necessarily a time for action, but it is a great time to let all of this be like steeping, simmering, and to be like gently holding space for the answers, for illumination. Even if that illumination is like a revolution for you, something that totally changes everything, because again, we're moving from the end and switching all the way around to the beginning, from the world to the Fool. And I just saw 1717 on the clock. This is likely to be a time of a stark shift. Luckily, the Queen of Pentacles is here to remind you that you get to have the care that you need, even as you are giving care to others, as you make that switch from the end and then like revolving back around to the beginning. It's okay to, in the Fool card, it's okay to feel like you have no idea where you are, what you're doing, or like you're new at this. That's okay. You're going to keep caring for yourself, Queen of Pentacles. You're going to keep holding your needs right at the heart space, right at the forefront. Like this person sitting on this stool is holding a pot full of flowers. I see that as like your flower pot of needs, and like holding them right at the heart level and out front. Like these are no longer things that I like stuff or like hide behind my back when I'm, I don't know, going in to talk to a potential employer or whatever it is, however it is that you engage in like community in a way that would bring money back. I'm like, for some reason, I'm wondering about like mutual aid communities and like things like this. I don't know if you're a part of that or if that's part of your life, but it's coming in. Yeah, I don't know why that's coming in as like, is that a potential career direction you've looked in, as like community organizing in that way? Because there are paid positions in those lines of work. Anyway, just put a pin in it and throw it away if it's not relevant. What I was saying is rather than like keeping this flower pot of your needs behind your back and like secretly kind of watering it when you get home from work, or like if you even have time, and then the flowers are withering and dying back there. This Queen of Pentacles instead is presenting that right out front, right? Like, okay, hi, I am blah, blah, blah. I have these skill sets and interests and these needs all up front, leading with that. And a place of employment or a community that can support you in those needs is going to want to hear that up front. A place of employment that is not going to support you in those needs is going to go, oh, no, right? And that's how you know it's not the right thing for you. But if you can present that flower pot to somebody and say, here are the things that I need, right? Like, I'm a mother of 4. I have these circumstances that I'm dealing with, traumatic brain injury, whatever. And like, here's my needs and here's the care I need around that. And also like, here's my skill set and what I can bring to this community or this position. And someone that will hear that and take that and go, okay, great, we can help you keep these flowers watered, nurtured, and cared for. That's that second house theme of like equal exchange and reciprocity. And I guess these cards are just saying it's possible. And if you are wanting to change your financial situation, your needs cannot be a background or a part of the conversation. They need to be right up front. And the energy to make a plan and do something totally new is here. So, and now is the time of reevaluation. Now is the time to be doing it. To start making a plan for how you're going to get out of where you have been, and how you can do that by leading with meeting and caring for your needs. A new cycle for you, for sure. A new cycle for you is here, which of course makes me think, like, with that Venus retrograde and upcoming here in July in Leo, right? That's your second house. The last time that happened was 2015. Venus retrograde in Leo. So there's some sort of cycle that is ending and maybe revolving, coming back around, and you have this opportunity to approach it completely differently. All right, wow. I hope that was helpful. Oh, I just have to say, look at this, 6 of Pentacles. A card, literally the card of community and mutual aid and reciprocity. We work together, we distribute the labor equally. It says redistribution, and it's a card of Moon and Taurus in this deck. So, and we see 2 people like carrying heavy loads together and like organizing boxes. It says disaster relief, emergency equipment, things like this. First aid. How can you engage in caring for your communities in ways that care for you right back, so that community cares for you back? And like, can you get paid to do that? Okay, y'all, thanks so much for calling into the Get Read podcast. We will have another one at the Aquarius new moon coming up in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. If you would like to get read for that Aquarius new moon, you just leave me a voicemail with the question for the cards and you will get read anonymously on the podcast. Thanks so much, y'all, for tuning in. Take good care, babes. Talk to you soon.